All right. I know it's a shock, but we're dealing with habits, and I have some bad habits. I know that Janet's gone to get the stuff ready so she won't hear it. Because she'd be sitting saying, amen. I wrote a little thing about our anniversary this week. I said, she's amazing because she's listened to probably 3,000 to 4,000 of my sermons. Can you imagine that? 3,000 to 4,000 sermons she's heard. I hope I'll get through some soon. And anyways, what I want to share a bad habit I had. And I have a little book here, okay? And in my little book, I have everybody's name that's here, because the government said we're supposed to do it. So we could set a thing. Every church is different. Some people you have to go online and sign in on Tuesday to come to a Sunday service, and then they show you where you sit and everything. And so I'm not a good writer, but your names are all in the book. And it's not the book of, well, maybe the book of life too. And the reason is, if something happens, they want to know who was in church on today. And so I haven't, but I'm not a good writer. I do write, but not some things. And so we were out moving cleaning my dad's apartment, get everything done. And so John and I went out and spent a few days and worked really hard, and we sorted through all the things that you don't really need. And I took many trips to, some went to the dump and into the bin, and others went to the mission, Bible missions. Anyways, but my sister, who lost her husband, was in Vancouver, and so she couldn't come up, and so I put all the things together, and they wanted to take down the chandelier. It was Grandma's chandelier from 1965. So I got the chandelier down, and I packed it up, and I got all these things packed up. And so what had happened was, when my brother and his wife were there earlier, for my dad's funeral, they were packing things up, and so they took all the stuff from my sister, my older sister, because she was busy at the hospital and that with her husband. So they put it all in black plastic bags. So what we did is we cleaned up the bags, and the ones we could, we took to Vancouver, to Port Moody to drop off when we went down for the funeral. And then the other things we sorted out and worked real hard and got it all organized. And so then I took everything to the garage. It's a carport type garage, with the doors that go up and down, and they rent that. And I stacked it in there. There was a desk. There was filing cabinet was going to nobody's, and there was a bookshelf, and we couldn't run it here. And there's no way to carry anything. You couldn't bring anything back in Janet's little car. Anyway, so got it all there, and a box for my one sister, a couple boxes for my other sister, and I think 3 or 4 boxes for my older sister. So there they all, I knew where they were, and my sister was going to come and up last week and pick up the stuff. Well, she couldn't make it, so she sent her son-in-law and her daughter, and they went up and took my brother-in-law's car that was a little bit bigger, and they went in to get the stuff. They went through there, and I put all the stuff, I knew where it was. They were supposed to call me. I didn't write on everything. I did write chandelier, but I didn't write for who it was for. I'm trying to figure it out. Anyways, so my other sister was out cleaning out the garage, and for $350 you have junk. And a truck comes and loads it, and they haul it away. And they haul all the junk away. Anyways, but I was talking to my younger sister and said, did you get all the boxes for Elaine? And so we're tracking down, where's all the boxes for Elaine? And so my older sister, so then what comes back is, and I take the blame for it, is that her son-in-law and daughter came out, and they couldn't find any black plastic bags, so they didn't have to take much back to the coast, but they took all these nice boxes and gave them to Value Village. So somebody's getting a nice chandelier at Value Village in Kelowna. Why? Because I didn't write on there who it was for. And they just thought, oh yeah. I said, no, we'd already taken all the junk. This was the good stuff. So the good stuff went to Value Village. And I'm saying that to say I have a habit, a bad habit. Janet's got little notes all over the house. Mine are in here. And I know where they are sometimes I don't. I usually know where things are. And I said, please don't mess up my junk, because I know where stuff is. I got my pilot's license. I pilot here and pilot there and pilot there. And but here, this one came back to bite. Like, had I written down there big bold letters in black marker, this is for Elaine, they wouldn't have taken it to Value Village. And so all that work, I went out and bought another lamp, for a dining room lamp, and installed it and everything, and packed this big, beautiful chandelier up, and somebody's getting a good deal. If you want, don't leave before the service, because I don't think you get the clone of that fast to get the value. Anyways, we're talking about habits, bad habits. What would make something a good habit? What would make something a bad habit? Well, I feel bad habits have to fit a number of specific requirements. They're repetitive negative behavior patterns. They can be stopped with motivation and with power, unlike a mental condition. Society takes a dim view of them. Habits break customs, laws. Many people find the habit annoying, repulsive, or something to be avoided. The habit could negatively affect your health or wellness. The habits keep someone from being their best. There could be a little wiggle room in habits. Some things might be a habit for one that's bad, not for another. But a bad habit for me may not be for you. So here's an illustration. A vegan may view eating non-plant-based food as a bad habit. They can cite many health reasons why meat is bad, and they can tell you that it's not moral to kill animals. But for a vegan, eating a grilled chicken sandwich is a bad habit, but it wouldn't be for us. So you see, some things are bad, some things are not bad. Gluttony is a bad habit, or so the Bible says. In Proverbs 23 and verse 1, when you sit down with a ruler, note well what is before you. We're talking about sitting down for a meal. And put a knife to your throat if you're given to gluttony. So you're sitting there having dinner, all of a sudden you go, and you go, don't do it. But it's a point. Put a knife to your throat if you're given to gluttony. And do not crave his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Bad habits can be the desire to crave food. And for many people, bad habits offend other people. You might find it serious or silly, but some bad habits offend other people. So I'm just going to list some of the things that are written down in an article on bad habits. Being more than 5 minutes late for an appointment can irritate somebody else. Or you can irritate you. But usually if you're always 5 minutes late, it doesn't usually irritate you, it just irritates other people. It's like coming to church and not being here. The only place that's not quite like that, but it's a little bit different now, is the doctor's office, because you can have a 10, 15 appointment at the doctor's office and sit there till 11. And he's busy. If you did that in church, everybody would be gone. Now remember, this is don't take this wrong, okay? This is just a list of some bad habits. Picking your nose. Well, that was almost solved with the virus. Don't pick it, clean your fingers. All of a sudden, but for some people it's offensive. Overly affection in public, displaying of affection, and they call it PDA. Picking your teeth in public. Overusing slang or text speech. Checking iPhones and iPads at dinner can be offensive. These are bad habits that can be offensive to others. Having alligator arms. You know what that is? When you go out for lunch, you never pick up the check. Like alligators don't have big arms. Now what's the alligator teeth? Popping, snapping gum in public. Some people, bad habit, some people don't like it. Talking during movies. Anybody get mad at you when you're talking during a movie? Twitter, running errands in rush hour. These are some things that are bad habits. Watching commercials, infomercials, or advertisements. Some people go, this is boring. Spending time worrying about spam comments, negative reviews, and internet trolls. Or worrying about things that could go wrong. Or poor posture. Some people look at it and sit up, sit up, sit up. And usually it's parents telling the kids, sit up, come on, sit straight. And when I was singing, my dad would always say, quit grumbling. Quit grumbling. Here's a couple more. Swearing. Some people find that very offensive. There's one that's called trichotillomania, which is pulling your hair disorder. Smoking cigarettes, biting fingernails, drinking coffee, drinking tea, watching reality TV, eating fast foods, alcohol, emotional shopping. Some people said that really offends people is when they go into the shopping mall just to wander around. You know, you're not actually looking for anything, just wandering around. Well, you know, seniors do that in Red Deer during the winter because they don't just stand there. They go in and they walk through instead of going out and doing their exercise outside. Cracking your knuckles or speaking with your mouth full. Talking to yourself, using slang and forgetting to shave. Well, I didn't shave today. Just a little shaver, the guy said. Okay, so here we're looking at some things that can be irritating about bad habits. One writer suggests when we look at good habits, habits are for a successful life. Good habits that people should adopt to be more successful. Students go to school to get education for better and more prosperous life. Many of the good habits needed to be truly be successful to learn outside the classroom. You don't learn habits in class. You bring your habits with you. Developing good habits will help individuals of all ages succeed. And he went on to say, you can never start too early developing good habits. These routines will help create success for the rest of your life, and they're the tools we need to live life to its fullest. A few good habits we need to succeed. It's an interesting thing, our writer was saying, here are some good habits that we need to succeed. Whether you're a parent, student, entrepreneur, just a regular person, learning these habits will help everyone get along and get ahead in life. Number one, get on a good schedule. We need structure and routine in our lives. Our bodies expect it, and they perform best when they operate in a regular schedule. We especially need to eat and sleep about the same time each day. That's really tough if you take turns working from an all night to an all day, all night to an all day. And they find that's very hard on people. If you're parents of a young child, it's our job to teach the habits early. This routine stays with the person their whole life. Number two, eat a healthy diet. Our brain needs the right food to perform at their peak. Don't go to school or work on an empty stomach. They say that the most important meal is breakfast. And what do lots of people miss? Breakfast. The most important meal is breakfast. Having a big supper isn't really important because after supper, you usually, unless you do lots of exercise, you're not usually wearing it off. And then you have this. I remember when we were driving a truck and us hauling pigs down to Idaho. And my trip, I was in the bunk from here to the border. And then at the border, I got in and drove, and the other driver went into the bunk, and I drove to Butte, Montana. Pulled into Butte, Montana, and it was supper time. And, but it was my time to sleep. And so I would go in and have, oh my goodness, and then I'd eat, and then I'd get back in the bunk, and really tough. Well, you feel horrible for the next 4 hours, because you've been just ate, and then you went to bed. So I got smart. Well, I'm smart. What I did is I'd order my meal to go. And when I'd wake up, I'd eat it. And I slept a lot better. And so these are some things that, like we need to have or some order that helps us. Learn to exercise. Okay, don't hear any amens. We need physical activity to stay healthy. The benefits of regular exercise are well documented. We need to find exercise routines that are fun and to match our individual tastes. Number 4, we need to practice gratitude. It's easy to get in the bad habit of envying what others have. The grass often seems green on the other side, but practicing gratitude, thanking people, practice thinking about the things you have to be thankful about. Number 5, develop good habits, good study habits. Sometimes that's harder for some people. When I was in Bible school, I'd go to bed and get up at 4 in the morning. That's when I studied, when everybody else was sleeping. I found it harder to study when there was 5 of us in one apartment, really hard. So I would do that, get up and do that. Number 6, never give up. That's a good one. Never give up. There's always things in life that want you to give up. Someone said I was told in school, winners never quit and quitters never win. I think this is Vince Lombardi's quote, and it certainly is true. It takes perseverance in life to enjoy any kind of success. He said, I also remember hearing, when you're going gets tough, the tough get going. So develop a never give up. That's a good habit. Number 7, manage money wisely. That's an interesting thing. Do they teach you how to manage your money in school? You get lessons on managing your money in school? No. Why? It's a big thing. Learn to manage your money wisely. They teach us, we watched commercials that teach you how to borrow and how to do, you know, and it teaches you to, you deserve a break today at McDonald's, you know, go spend your money. Okay, number 8, strive for excellence. Why do a job that you're not willing to do it right? We need to develop a habit of giving every task the best that we can do. And number 9 is probably one of the most important, is live by the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I liked it when I was teaching grade 5 Christian Ed. One time they thought it was, you know, proselytizing or something. I said, no, all I do is teach them the golden rule. I said, I would tell the students, I said, how do you like it when somebody bullies you? Well, I don't like when they bully me. Then don't bully anybody else. How do you like when someone lies about you? That's not fair. Well, then don't lie about anything. And you go through it all. All the things. If we would treat others the way we want to be treated, it would be bring success into our lives. It would change the world. Number 10. This one is interesting. Practice hygiene. A good habit. Practice hygiene. You know, like brush your teeth twice a day, wash your hands. These are some suggestions, but practice hygiene. Number 11, always tell the truth, even if it hurts. Always tell the truth. You know, they say that when people that tell lies, really, they always get caught because it's really hard to remember what the lie was. The truth you remember because it was the truth. Even if you don't like it, you tell the truth. I remember when in grade 5, and I remember riding in a little English car. The teacher had a little English car, and I hadn't done my homework, and I think I had to bring a note signed by my mom, and I shouldn't have signed it my mom. That was a dead giveaway. I should have put her name down. Anyways, I'll never forget having a ride home to talk to my mom with the teacher in the car. It was my first ride in a little English car. And but tell the truth. You don't have to sweat. You don't have to be worried. You don't have to be. You can rest more if you tell the truth. Number 12. Ask what you want. Be willing to ask what you want. Don't just assume people know. And number 13 is be a good reader. Number 14 is be punctual. And number 15 is very important, respect authority. Don't over-respect it. When we had that fire, that explosion in town, and I got a call, I was on council then, and so I was rushing back from Red here because we had a big disaster here. I mean, the house blew up. Ian, you were here then, weren't you? That was your first call. First call. Yeah. A house blew up. I mean, there was a motorcycle in there. Did we ever find it? It's totally a big motorcycle, just unbelievable. The house blew up. Anyway, so I'm running back from Red Deer, so I took down Hospital Road, and then I come down Woody Nook Road, and I'm I'm a town councilor, so I gotta get back because it was a disaster. So I come to the corner at the Woody Nook Road, and there's a policeman. And I go around the corner, and he turns his lights on. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna be really helpful. I just jumped out of the car. He said, "Get back in the car." They don't like it when you get out of the car. I was gonna say, walk to my car. And you stay in the car. And then he said, "Doesn't matter what's happened, you don't get to speed." Oh, respect. I didn't get mad at him. I was to blame. So I learned that. Don't speed. The last one is tend to our spiritual needs. We cannot ignore our spiritual needs and truly live a full and rewarding life. We must recognize that there is a higher power and pursue our faith regularly. There is, we may not exercise our beliefs in exactly the same way, but we're encouraged to find what works for us and to explore. into its depths, the depths of spiritual reality. It's not religious, but spiritual. A solid spiritual life will serve us better. Now let's get to the good stuff, okay? Let's get to the good stuff and why you came today. We want to become more spiritually attuned. So let's turn over to 1 Timothy chapter 4. 1 Timothy chapter 4. And it talks about being a good minister of Jesus Christ. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. But reject irreverent silliness. Instead, train yourself in for godliness. For physical exercise is of limited value, but godliness is valuable in every way, holding promise to the present life and for the one to come. For another one says this, for bodily exercise profits a little, but godliness is profitable for all things, having promise of the life that is now is and that which is to come. Good or God habits. We look at it. Practicing good or God habits. Godliness is important. Exercise isn't good. But we all fall short. We may not live up to our expectations or what do we call it in January 1st? We do resolutions. And by January 2nd, we'll get ready to start them again next year. We may not, but here's some ideas, okay? We want to develop in a spiritual aspect. Devote 15 minutes a day to reading spiritual text, Bible, spiritual book, spiritual workbook. Now this is a challenge that I'm not saying everybody does it, but these are some challenges that will help us. 15 minutes a day that we can give to something. We can give 2 hours a day to news, or we can do 2 or 3 hours to watching TV. But can we give 15 minutes to something spiritual? Number 2, go walking in the woods or somewhere. Go walking. Just go out and look around. It's amazing. Number 3, perform one thoughtful act of kindness for a stranger. You ever think about that? One thoughtful act of kindness for a stranger. It might be standing and opening the door. I learned something really interesting when I was on my crutch, I didn't have crutches, but the walker. I have more walkers now. I'm collecting walkers. If anybody needs walkers, I got walkers because I have one from the lady that passed away. Well, by the way, next Saturday, I think at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a funeral here for Mary Newberry. She was a lady that she phoned me for hours and hours and hours and called me, and she was from Red Deer. Once in a while she came out years ago, but she had a tough life, and right at the end she was having some major problems, and ended up taking her out of her apartment and putting her into Pinoca, and that's where she passed away with a heart attack. But we're going to have there's some people that know her, so we're going to have a funeral for her on next Saturday at 11 o'clock, and if anybody can help, we'll do a lunch kind of like we did for Yvonne's mom's, and there'll be a few people coming. She has no family, and so that's the one that I found out after she passed away, that I've been appointed as the executive for her estate. So I spent 2 hours with the bank, and it's going to be lots of work, but the one thing we can do is have to honor her. And what she used to be in a Baptist church. Nothing against Baptist, Vanessa, but she used to be in a Baptist church. And I don't know what happened years ago, and it didn't work out real good. And Ian's sitting back there smiling too. Anyways, she'd phone up and say, Pastor, Pastor. She always goes, Pastor, the Baptists don't like me. I said, quit trying to go to their churches. I told her that 1,000 times. But she tried to go back and see if they could like her, and it wasn't the Baptist, it was her own struggles with herself. And she was always going through struggles. And she phoned, she was 70 years old, she said, Pastor, I need to get a job. And I don't know, we went down this one many times. There was a bad habit for her because it was always the same questions. And I'd say, Marion, I said, you're getting $1,750 a month support. You get subsidized housing, you get your medical, you get everything. You don't want to get a job. You're 70. You don't want to get a job because you're not going to make that much money. But the doctor said I should go to work. Or some nice Christian will say, the Bible says if you don't work, you shouldn't eat. And then she'd call anyways. So I was there just to encourage her. I literally, when she first started phoning me 20 years ago, she'd phone and not talk. And then she would start to talk, and then right after I talked to her for 20 minutes or half an hour or something, everything's fine, and she'd be calmed down and say, "Oh, now you're okay, yeah, okay." 5 minutes later, I'd hear, "Pastor, Pastor." So we're going to honor her, because she loved the Lord, and she loved people and battle, but we're going to honor her this Saturday. So at 11 o'clock, if you can come, we'd love to have you come. And I'll introduce you a little bit to Marion Newberry. She'd been a nurse, and she'd had an accident. She was in a coma. She went through a lot of stuff. And so my heart went out to her, because she really wanted to. She took course after course after course. But when it came to trying to get to work, she couldn't handle it. So you just go like, we just loved her. So that's something we can do, and appreciate if you can help out a little bit. So that's an act of thoughtfulness, kindness. I didn't know her before. She was a stranger, but I didn't push her away. And she always knew she could call me. And if I didn't answer, I said, Marion, if I don't answer, it's because I can't. I see you're calling, and if I don't answer, I'm in the meeting or something. It's not a rejection. So I let her know. Number 4, give one physical pleasure or material possession up. Sacrifice something. They do that in Lent, don't they? Try giving something up that you like to, say, well, no, I'm just going to sacrifice this. Number 5, join a group of like-minded individuals from whom you can learn and be inspired. And Vanessa told us about that like-minded group today on Wednesday nights. Come together, how we grow spiritually. Number 6, look up at things around you, the stars, creation, the ocean, the fields, people to bless. I love to watch people and just think about their lives and bless them. Enjoy a sunset or sunrise. Write out a person write out how much a person you encountered that day could be enriched in your life journey. Just write down some notes about somebody that you met and what they maybe meant to you. Now, I know that this gives us some ideas for health. So let's look at quickly some ideas for health. If you want, lose weight. Reduce your sugar intake. You've heard that. Eat 6 small healthy meals a day to keep satisfied or on track. I'm terrible for. I don't eat. I can go for a day or two not eating, and then I eat a big meal. What happens is your body says, "Boy, I don't know when I'm going to get food again. I'm going to keep it all." And I've got to teach it to. And so Janet's a lot better at this than I am. Just take small meals. Eat the first meal within 30 minutes of waking up, and jumpstart your metabolism. One thing you can try is consume a green juice powder first thing in the morning. That sounds exciting. Green juice powder. Move your body. Number 4, move your body 10 minutes or longer first thing in the morning. A brisk dog walk or 10 minutes of exercise with a video or whatever will increase your metabolism. Number 5, work out a total of an hour a day, 5 days a week. If you can break that up into 2 workouts, then you benefit even more, since you will create 2 spikes in metabolism that day. Number 6, drink a glass of water in the morning. Better have my water. It's getting dry here. Wow. I won't drink the whole glass now. I'm bad for that. Bad habit. Drink more water. And guess what? Well, I drink lots of coffee. No, I don't know. But you say, I drink lots of coffee. For every cup of coffee, you need another glass of water? Because it doesn't work that way? So that's ways to keep healthy. Drink a glass of water in the morning and with each meal. Fill your plate with vegetables and lean meat. Use the fat grains, starch, and sugary foods as condiments. Number 8, replace something white, starch, processed food with something green, orange, red, or brown. Vegetable, protein, lentils at every meal. This is work, isn't it? Number 9, try a new physical activity. It can be anything, rock climbing, hiking, whatever. And try something new, physical, get involved. My plan is to get back to my advance on my fit machine. Getting a habit going again. You can walk your dog or your neighbor's dog. Park at the furthest parking spot. How many of us drive around the parking lot until we find something closer? What's wrong with, I was thinking, why would people want to walk that far? Well, because it might be healthy. And so these are just ideas. They're not my ideas. These are just ideas that will help you, your physical character, your physical condition. So my plan, I'm coming to confession. With all the things that I have gone through with my knee surgery, one of the things I did before my knee surgery, okay, is I have one of these very expensive machines that are vibrating machines. So you vibrate for 10 minutes back, and it goes through 5 up to 40 and then back down to 5, and then it tapers off. And so I was up to 20 minutes of that a day. It goes to 10 minutes at a time. That's the one they use in the spaceship and that. And so I was doing that and that became a prayer time. Specific prayers that when I got on there and went through my 20 minutes, specific prayer time. And then I go through the knee surgery, and I'm going like, one of these days I'm going to feel good enough, my knees will work good enough so that I can get back on the machine, and I know that because I have been on the machine, I'm not losing weight. I don't eat that much, but I don't lose weight. And I need to get out, so I wasn't walking, as Janet used to always walk around the whole town. So I started walking again. And I want to tell you that I'm not just practicing, or just preaching, but I practice what I preach. I went on my machine for 10 minutes this morning. This is the start of a new habit. And I really miss it. I really miss it. There's habits that we create that are really important. I have a habit that I created that on certain roads I go on when I'm driving the bus, there's a list of people I pray for. And if I don't drive the bus, I forget sometimes. When I start down that road and boom, it's a habit. It's a good habit. And so my habit is, I lost quite a bit of weight. And especially when they thought I was going to die, and I gained so much weight because my kidneys weren't working right. And then I lost 75 pounds in 10 days in the hospital. And Janet said I quit looking like the Goodyear blimp. And I felt better, but habits are, so I got into a bad habit. I was staying upstairs, sitting in the chair, watching lots of good gospel programs, and did my study and everything there in my recliner chair. And I got to get back down to where that vibrator machine is, and where my main computer is, and it's a good habit to get into. And so now you all can check with me. And by next Sunday I want to be up to 20 minutes a day on there. And so when I quit going on there, because I wouldn't turn the TV on or anything, I would just have special time of prayer, praying in the Spirit, and that when I was on there. And when I quit getting on there, that other habit kind of disappeared, because there was no place where I would start to do that. So these are things. This is me. I'm confessing. But I was being robbed of a blessing, and so when I got on there, of course your mind's going like, yeah, your knee might not work real good. You might cause problems, but I think I'm okay. I did it for 10 minutes this morning. I'm still okay. But there's all kinds of reasons why we don't develop good habits. We're protecting ourselves or somebody else. So there's an example that I know I need to. Because when my pants are getting too tight, and my I gotta get down. I lost 25 pounds, and I don't know where it came from. It snuck its way back up, and it's not like I don't keep busy. But one of the things about being healthy is getting proper schedules where you go to bed at the right time. So after I had the last bout with my 10 bouts of blood transfusions, and I couldn't drive bus. I hadn't driven bus until September, and so my bus habit is 5:30 in the morning I get up. Okay, if I'm really tired, I haven't got to bed early enough, 5:51 I get up. And then I have my devotions, and then I get ready, and I get to the bus. When I wasn't driving bus, I'd sleep in. I lost a good habit. And, I'm doing it, it's okay. Now, it means I can't go to bed at 1 all the time. I get up at 5:50. But, so then that gives me another habit. Get to bed when you're supposed to. I'm a night owl, and you just got to do it. So these are things that will help us. Okay, so will help us physically, emotionally, spiritually. But I want to give you a couple of really good examples. of why habits are important. Turn over to Daniel chapter 6. Daniel chapter 6. And you're going to see that it's not just something I'm making up. I didn't come up with this idea. In verse 1, it pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule through the kingdom, and with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. The satraps were made accountable to them, so the king might not suffer loss. Now Daniel was distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. At this, the administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so. See, sounds like the day we're living in today. They could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Finally, these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel. Why would they want to charge him? Because they were jealous, envious. They said, Daniel, unless we have something to do with the law of his God. So these administrators and satraps went as a group to the king and said, may King Darius live forever. They always said that too, so that he wouldn't shoot them or stab them. The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered in accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be repealed. And so Darius fell for it and put the decree in writing. Verse 10, now when Daniel learned that the document had been signed, he went into his house where the windows of his upper room opened toward Jerusalem, and 3 times a day he got down on his knees, prayed, and gave thanks to his God, just as he had done before. It's written in a couple other translations. It says, there, just as he had always done, he knelt down with the open windows and prayed to God 3 times a day. In the New King James Version it says, in the upper room, with his window open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as was his custom since early days. Good habits. They can get you into trouble. But that was his custom. Custom, habits, same thing. He had a habit of doing it, and he didn't stop just because it meant he would get into trouble. And so we see sometimes people can get you into trouble. And so then when we look at, that's Daniel. Joseph prayed all the way through his imprisonment and his tossed in the pit, and then his brothers selling him, and then being falsely accused. But he kept praying, and he had habits to pray. And Philippians chapter 4, and this really sums up how we're to think, where our habits should be. Philippians 4, verse 8 and 9. And the New King James said, meditate on these things, or form habits, good ones, on the things that are good, pure. I didn't put the notes in there. Okay, who's got it in the Bible? Philippians. This is a good habit. I didn't check this out. Philippians 4, 8, and 9. Who's going to read it for me? I'll probably find it. No. Did anybody get it? Philippians 4, 8, 9.
Summing it all up, friends, I'd say you do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious. The best, not the worst. The beautiful, not the ugly things to praise. Not things to curse.
So doesn't that tell you what our habits are to be? Is that it? Yep. Okay, it gives you a description of what our habits to be like. And so when you do that, we will find those things will keep us going stronger, healthier, happier, and more desirable. Remember, we started off by the things that bug people about our bad habits. You know, if we bug people enough, they won't want to be around us. they'll find it embarrassing. But you know, if you encourage people, if you thank people, if you bless people, they'll want to be around you. How long does, I'm going to close with this, how long does it take, because we're going to do a little bit more of this, but how long does it take to form a habit? In February 9, 2018, you can conduct, someone conducted a Google search and about habit formation, and you'll probably learn that it takes between 21 days to form a habit, maybe 18 to 28 or 31. The numbers vary, but the standard advice does not. Many self-help specialists suggest that if you simply repeat a behavior of a specific number of days, it will design to become a habit, a good habit. So we need to focus on good habits and do them enough times. So I know that I've got a few days to go on my machine till it becomes a habit again, but I'm determined to do that. Bad habits are the things we need to give up. Good habits to gather together, and we will develop those good habits. So why is that specifically important today? Because for the last 4 months, people have had maybe some more had habits change. We've had lots of habits change. This week it was confirmed by actual witnesses resulting, as I shared a thought and people shared with me, yes, that is what they've experienced, that 30% of the people who were in church attenders will not be coming back to church. 30%. And that's about the stats that the people are finding. They got along without it. Why come back? And so we see, boy, that's a bad habit. We've been conditioned into things that we do and we don't do, not because we wanted to, but we've been conditioned into staying in your house. You can't touch people, and now we're telling you can't even shout at a hockey game. This is bad. This is really bad. But you know, we've been conditioned. But in that conditioning, we can form bad habits, or we can just drop things, or we can just give up. And I'm so blessed because you know, if so many churches are losing 30% of their people coming back, I am so blessed that we haven't lost anyone. You're all here. You've continued to form a good habit. And fortunately, we've been able to come back. And but you know, it's not easy. My sister and her husband at their church in California, with all the things that are going on, they're not allowed to meet in the buildings. So they're meeting out in the parking lot. It's a huge church, and they got 100 chairs sitting out in the 100-degree parking lot. And then they said the people in the chairs started putting up little gazebo huts. So the people in the cars behind them can't see over the gazebo huts to see the platform. Anyways, but you know, people are trying to do what they can do. And I laughed because one of our pastor friends the other day said from another church, a different church, not a charismatic type of church, and she was just saying that it's really kind of neat when you meet out in the cars because it's really fun when people honk their horns. I said, you're turning Pentecostal. You can honk your horns, but you know, these are things that happen. So my sister's church, I just talked to her last night, and so there they are meeting out there, and the Spanish pastors, their service is at 6 in the morning, and he said he really gets excited, and he really gets loud, and he's out there, and now they're getting complaints. They got the governor told them they can't meet in buildings, so they meet outside. Now they're getting complaints because they said somebody's shouting at 6 in the morning. Can you stop that? So there they are. This is just the Spanish pastors excited. So they had to move to the other side of the parking lot, and now the church where they're meeting is along the freeway. And so now all they can hear is freeway. And you just go, you know, like, you can see what, we can sit at home and be in your pajamas and have coffee and have church. But there's something we miss when we come together. And so we're praying, and we were, as ministers, we're all praying that God will help us to make this transition back and create some habits. So the Bible says that we're to be careful, not to. I'm not sure where those notes went on me. They disappeared on me. Anyways, the scripture is, forsake not the assembly of yourselves together, and so much the more as you see the day appear. We're there. We are there. It's time when we need to come together. and things are happening at breakneck speed. Things are happening. I don't know if you saw, and I had some notes down there, but in Israel right now, they've signed with the Arabic Republic, whatever. What's that? They call it. It's that's what happens. You don't have notes. It's Saudi Arabia, the Emirate recovered. They have it on their planes, okay. And now Bahrain has come together, and they're signing peace treaty with Israel. No one has been able to get a peace treaty through. And the notes I had down there was how in January, President Trump said we're going to try and work on it. And just a few weeks ago, the Emirate Republic has signed it, and now the other groups are signing, and there's others signing. And it all came when they finally took the American embassy to Jerusalem. And the government people said, you do that and you're going to start a war. You're going to start an unbelievable war. Well, they did do it. They didn't start a war. They're moving forward in peace. And so they're signing these peace, and one of them will be signed this week. And it's amazing when there's peace in the Middle East. It hasn't been there for a long time. And if you go back in history, you'll find out that it has to happen, but it tells us the day we're living in. We're living in the very last days, and it says, don't forsake, don't make it a habit of not coming together, but come together more often to encourage and bless one another, so much more as you see that day coming. And that's the day that we're in today. The day is coming. We've not seen it. Back in 400 AD, the temple was torn down.